Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of our ExpertGate interview series, where we connect with thought leaders, top academics, and experts who are shaping industries and driving positive change. My name is Morsaleen, a manager here at ExpertGate, and today we are honored to be speaking with Komal, a top leading legal expert and entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience. Komal is the co-founder of numerous legal and consulting firms, as well as the co-founder and chief knowledge officer of LawSeco, an e-learning provider spearheading the online legal education space. Komal, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So, Komal, to start things off, could you provide us with a brief overview of your professional journey and what inspired you to specialize in your field?
Sure. By profession, I am a corporate lawyer and a chartered secretary. And to be honest, like initially when we started off in India, things are quite traditional, Parents generally decide for the kids to be like go
Yeah.
this way or that way in terms of career. And both of my parents were as far away from law as possible, So it
Okay.
seems
Wow.
like, um, but we had someone in the family, a relative who was very much ahead in terms of career. He was the president of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. He was the person who first established a chapter in the city where I was residing. So he was much ahead in this journey, and then he was the person who basically inspired me to take on the route of being a corporate lawyer and a chartered secretary. So and he was he was someone who was a mentor to many people, right?
Gosh.
So one of them obviously was me. Being in the family, I benefited a lot more from his guidance compared to other people,
Yeah.
and that's what made me take up the career. When I actually started learning through corporate law, right, and
Mhm.
transactions and everything, um, I remember that I approached things a lot differently compared to other people, and I'll tell you how. Like for example, people who were studying with me, they would kind of do the journal entries in accounting. We this is like way back when we didn't really have softwares where you could just feed
Yeah.
everything will be
All
done
that kind of things. Yeah.
yourself. You actually had to learn the concepts right at that time. So people would do the journal entries, and then the way I would approach is that like I would do the journal entries. From that, I will create a ledger. From that, I will create a trial balance. From that, I'll create a balance sheet, like the whole process. So,
Okay.
like my professors used to tell me that you got the whole sequence, it's actually how it's done. So the focus was always on how do I implement this and make these things practical, right?
Yeah.
Even when I was studying for my chartered secretaryship, like most of the people would focus on passing and doing that, and I would be thinking that how do I actually implement this, right? So when I was studying for creating a company, like I would actually create the dummy documents and keep it ready for a fake company, just to
Yeah.
understand how exactly it's done,
Yeah.
right? So experimenting things, right? So and that is also something which made me get in with law sequel, because they had this approach of how to make things extremely practical,
Yeah.
how to put your knowledge, your legal knowledge to use, apply it directly, right? Rather than just have an academic layer first and then maybe slog for 2 3 years before you get the hang of it, and
Yeah.
then apply. Why can't we make something that teaches application directly? And that's what attracted me towards it, and that's what made me join. Right?
Amazing, amazing. And it is really amazing to see how from such an early age, like in university, you were already thinking about how to merge the practicality and how you can kind of use those academic principles in practice, right? So that's amazing. Um, Now, I want to ask you about what type of clients are you looking forward to working with, And how can your expertise in your years of experience help them in achieving their goals?
Right. I would say that clients who actually don't get both reliable as well as affordable legal services, right? Because this is something that's really tough for someone who's like starting phases of business. It's very tough to get that because you can't afford firms which have a really established name, and that's why you can consider them reliable, and you can think that they'll do things properly for you, right? um, you don't have that kind of funds to engage those firms, and on the other hand you can't just rely simply on fresher lawyers or solo lawyers or someone who's starting out who may be in your affordable range, but like you're not sure how much you can rely on them, right? So
Yeah.
this is what we want to do. We want to give things which are affordable and reliable to people, right? And they shouldn't have to just go to top law firms only and depend on that only. And they would say that the only way to get good legal services is if I break my bank, right?
Yeah.
That should uh,
The
not be
case.
the case, and that's what we are trying to do.
And I think through your company as well, skill arbitrage, that's what you
Yeah.
try and do essentially. Try and
Yes.
have that affordable rate for young startups to kind of use those services for for a good fee and for affordable fee, really. Yeah. Um, Now, speaking of having a broader and social impact, so of course, we talked about kind of targeting different groups, for example, younger startups and really early startups, but also thinking even beyond that in terms of broader and social impact. At ExpertGate, we're a social enterprise, and
Yeah.
we dedicate 50% of our profits to furthering education in underprivileged communities all across the world. So for yourself, Kamal, what opportunities do you see for creating social impact through your work at ExpertGate?
Yeah. So, see, you're in Australia right now. I'm
Yeah,
sitting in Mumbai, India, right?
yeah,
That is something that gives you the clue. Like, why can't we reach to really interior regions of developing countries, right? Like, the same way you're reaching out to me in Mumbai here.
yeah,
That's the medium. The internet is the medium that you reach out to, people who are in the interior cities, people who are underprivileged, people who don't have access to the kind of resources that other people would have, right? But internet is the medium that you reach out to, and I think like after COVID, these things have increased significantly, right? People are able to
100%.
reach out to beyond geographical barriers, are able to get stuff. But this is something that maybe ExpertGate, maybe us in collaboration, we can help. That remote work is something people, even really underprivileged people who don't have access uh, to resources, can simply take up. All they need is like functional internet and a computer, and that's it. And if they get that kind of training, obviously those regions where there are a lot of underprivileged people also will also start developing, because they will get access to at least the information, if nothing else, right? Like
Yeah,
throughout, and they'll get access to people, they'll get access to networks beyond their area, and that's how their development can take place. Losico is doing just that, like with India, like for interior regions of India, but this can spread to everywhere in the world. Why not? Like,
100%. Yeah. And you're so right. It's not just about the service; it's also about providing that information, right?
yes.
To those underprivileged communities. Amazing. Um, now, regarding continue on with the conversation about social impact and benefiting underprivileged communities all over the world. What roles do you think universities and industry specifically play in maximizing their impact?
Yeah. See, universities or colleges, I can understand, the way they function, because they're huge.
Yeah,
And the bigger you are, the more difficult it is for you to like shift significantly towards a direction, right?
yeah,
So, and that's the problem universities, colleges in India face also. Like a lot of education is outdated because it's very difficult for institutes to just shift syllabus or everything entirely very fast, right?
Yeah.
So the way they can do this is if they tie up with smaller entities or organizations who are able to shift things, update things, upgrade things very fast, right? Are able to change things in the direction in which things are moving, like so let's say be able to teach people even how to use AI in whatever role they are doing, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is something universities can teach themselves, or they can simply tie up with smaller entities which will, keep adding or providing these kinds of updates or upgrades to the students, and that will benefit the students
For
in
sure.
teaching things, right? So this is one thing universities can definitely do, that in addition to what their basic concept teaching is, they can add up to service providers. They can collaborate with service providers who are able to really give people the most updated knowledge or skilling which the industry is looking for, right?
Yeah, no, you're so right in that a lot of the times universities, because of there's just that big of an organization, it's so hard to quickly shift and quickly adapt to those specific needs in those underprivileged and more rural areas, really. So no, that's so important, having that collaboration and that essentially alliance with other organizations as well. Amazing. That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for being here today, Komal. It's been a pleasure to, of course, learn about your journey and the impact you hope to make through your consultations. We're excited to see what comes next for you at ExpertGate.
So,
To our yeah, to our viewers, thank you for joining us. Keep an eye out on ExpertGate for more conversations with top experts like Komal. We look forward to bringing you more insights to help you achieve your goals. Wonderful to have you, Komal. Thank you.
bye bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.